Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, February 16th. President's Day is coming up on Monday, and we have certainly had our share of snowstorms on President's Day here in the northeastern U.S. Not this year. It looks like quite a mild weekend coming up in the Mid-Atlantic region. In fact, Sunday looks like quite a spring-like type of day with high temperatures at or above the 60-degree mark in the I-95 corridor region between D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. Could be a little bit cooler on Monday itself as high pressure builds into southeastern Canada. But then that'll move off the southeastern coast of Canada early next week, and we'll go back into the warmer pattern for the maybe Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And it basically looks like a milder pattern starts this weekend and may last a week to 10 days or so into the latter part of February. Is there more cold air in sight? Yes, there is at the end of the month, early part of March, and certainly there can be some more snow opportunities going forward. But nonetheless, there certainly appears to be a pretty warm stretch here relative to normal for perhaps a week to 10 days or so beginning this weekend and going into the latter part of the month of February. Let's start off with the European ensemble run from last night, showing the 500 millibar height anomalies for the next 10 days, and we'll kind of see the progression of the pattern that will bring us a warm spell, quite a significant warm stretch of weather, and then there's some signs for a return to some colder weather at the end of February, early part of March. This is the forecast from for last night. As a matter of fact, it was a 0Z ensemble run here. Deep trough in the upper part of the atmosphere and very cold conditions relative to what's coming up here over the next several days. High temperatures this afternoon only in the mid to upper 30s for most areas along the I-95 corridor. Can be a snow shower or two. A lot of wind, storm affecting northern New England with some snow. Colder weather pattern here as we close out the work week, but let's push ahead now and see what transpires in the upper part of the atmosphere. By tonight, that low pressure trough off the northeast coast already starting to move to the northeast. Lots of orange showing up here, higher heights than normal here across southern Canada, northern plains here. Let's keep moving forward. This is now a 48-hour forecast from last night. Notice the higher pressure or higher heights moving closer and closer to the Mid-Atlantic region. And here by the time Saturday night rolls around, latter part of the weekend, we have ridging throughout the central and eastern part of the U.S. And again, high temperatures will jump on Saturday well up into the 50s, perhaps 60 degrees in some areas, and then 60-plus degrees likely on Sunday. All the cold air at this time, the latter part of the weekend, bottled up over the western U.S. Another big storm headed for California over the next few days. Let's keep pushing forward. Here, a very large area of orange showing up here, higher heights than normal. And again, the central and eastern U.S. going into a warm spell. On the early part of next week, around Monday, there will be high pressure at the surface here in southeastern Canada. That can bring temperatures down a little bit on Monday, especially up in places like New York and New England with high pressure in southeastern Canada. But then that moves off, and significant ridging here in the eastern U.S. and eastern part of Canada as we go into next week. Now let's push forward now. This is by the middle part of next week. Still a warmer pattern here in the eastern U.S. But notice a couple things going on out to our west. High pressure ridging starting to build into Alaska, and troughing setting up here to its east along the west coast of the U.S. with high pressure ridging in Alaska. That starts to turn the tables here for the possibility of some cold air returning. Let's keep moving forward. And here, significant high pressure ridging here into Alaska. And now deep trough here is starting to extend from the western U.S. into the central U.S. Let's keep pushing forward here. Now notice, this is by 10 days out, troughing starting to set up here over the Midwest. And notice the flow of air right in this region right here, basically northwest from northwestern Canada into the central U.S. as this high pressure ridging starts to persist out over Alaska. In other words, colder air looks like it's starting to make a return from the northwestern part of Canada into the central part of the U.S. Now we're talking the latter part of February, 10 days out around February 26 or so, and it looks like we may get some colder air moving back into the eastern part of the U.S. Well, in terms of temperatures, let's also take a look at the European ensemble run forecast of 850 millibar temperature anomalies in a 1 to 5 day period. This is the average for the next 5 days. Lots of above normal conditions, especially across the northern U.S. Now, this particular 5 day period includes today, which will be at or below normal. So despite the cold start to this period, it ends up above normal here in the northeastern part of the U.S. Now let's jump ahead to the 6 to 10 day outlook. And here we go, quite a bit above normal here in the 6 to 10 day outlook. This is, again, indicative of a warm stretch of weather that begins this weekend and continues probably for the next week to 10 days or so. So this is the 6 to 10 day forecast of 850 millibar temperature anomalies from last night's 0Z ensemble run of the European model. Colder than normal conditions beginning to set up here at this time in the western U.S. And again, it looks like colder air will find its way back into the northeastern U.S. at the end of February and going into the early part of March. Well, let's now get back to the short term and take a look at the surface maps from last night's 0Z GFS model run. By the way, all those previous maps available from tropicaltidbits.com for today. Strong northwest flow as low pressure sits and spins off the northern New England coastline. Again, a lot of snow in places like Maine and the Atlantic part of Canada here associated with yet another nor'easter that is affecting that part of the country. Strong northwest winds here today, cold conditions, high temperatures confined to the 30s. Can be a couple of snow showers in any area from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City during the day. A lot of Great Lakes snow upstream just south and east of the Great Lakes. But let's now jump ahead to tomorrow morning, Friday morning, and we'll see the relaxation of this pressure gradient over the northeast U.S. And here we go. Still quite chilly on Friday to close out the work week, but not nearly as windy as today, so it'll feel milder. High temperatures generally in the 40s on Friday in the I-95 corridor. That pressure gradient moves all the way up into New England, and only light winds expected here on Friday, so it'll certainly feel much better than today. Plenty of sunshine, and again, high temperatures generally in the 40s on Friday. Well, let's now jump ahead to the Saturday morning forecast map. Notice high pressure here in the familiar Bermuda High type location here in the western part of the Atlantic, and that will set off the flow in the lower part of the atmosphere to turn to a more southwesterly direction, pumping in milder air. Saturday looks like a nice day, plenty of sunshine, high temperatures way up in the 50s, perhaps even 60 degrees or so in some parts of the I-95 corridor. And let's jump ahead now to Sunday morning. Well, Sunday itself looks like a spring-like day, high temperatures at or above the 60-degree mark in the I-95 corridor. High pressure still sitting off the East Coast. Low-level flow of southwesterly winds bringing milder air here. Now notice over northern New England, low pressure area pushing in, and high pressure is sitting over the south central part of Canada at this time. Again, this is Sunday morning. Let's now jump ahead to the Monday morning President's Day forecast map. Well, here we go. By Monday morning, that high pressure system edges into southeastern Canada. Kind of a northerly flow of air sets up over New England, so I expect certainly in areas like New York City and north and east to be a considerably cooler day on Monday, President's Day, compared to Sunday, perhaps even down into Philadelphia. But Again, this is Monday we're talking about. 60 or above on Sunday, perhaps back down in the 50s on Monday in D.C. and Philadelphia, maybe even in the 40s up in New York City. And this will be just basically a one-day shot. This then pulls off the southeastern coastline of Canada early next week, and we get back into even milder air for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. So there may be a blip in the warm-up on Monday associated with that high pressure over southeastern Canada, but for the most part, a warmer spell compared to normal begins this weekend and continues for the next week to 10 days. Yes, there are signs for cold air to return at the end of the month and into the early part of March, and with that there can be some additional snow chances here, but by Sunday it'll be spring-like in the I-95 corridor region with 60 degrees or higher in D.C., Philadelphia, and perhaps even 60 in New York City on Sunday. A bit cooler on Monday. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.